Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm Angel PT, and for today what we have here is Vanquish. So Vanquish was developed by Platinum Games and Widowstone Software. They are still using their in-house solution engine, which is pretty much the same as Bayonetta. They still are using DirectX 9, which I believe to be some of the root for the problems that I have with this game so far. So let me show you the settings of the game. So let me get here to the options and graphics settings. I'm using a custom preset over here because there are some things that I wanted to my taste. For example, the anti-aliasing, I decided to set it to FXAA because I didn't like too much the Edge implementations. But anyway, the performance difference between Edge or FXAA is pretty much the same. And if you use the eye presets, the edge is going to be set at 4 times. That is one thing that is downgraded with the eye preset, which is the screen space ambient occlusion. But I didn't find any difference in performance between the median and the eye. I believe that is happening because I'm having a major bottleneck over here. And this WOD setting is a little bit confused. So if you enable WOD, you are pretty much downgrading the graphics. WOD stands for level of details. And what it happens in this game if you enable is you kind of see objects getting detailed close to you, and if you use the off settings, what it's going to happen is the objects pretty much are already detailed. So let's say that if you disable WOD, you have a much more detail at the distance, but if you enable WOD at the distance, the objects might not even be there. Okay, so enabling WOD do help the performance, or at least should help, because I enabled WOD expecting to bottleneck to get reduced, and the game becoming a little bit more GPU bound, or at least helping this old API like DirectX 9 is not very efficient, and I was expecting that enabling WOD it would help the performance, but again there wasn't any difference to be seen. So in my opinion, if you don't really want to have a perfect 60 FPS, if you are fine between the 50s and the 60s, I feel recommended to use either the eye preset or create your custom. Like I told you, you can raise screen space ambient occlusion, there was no penalty for me. You can raise, I don't know, you can use FXAA instead of Edge. So it's really up to you what you are going to use. But overall what is happening here is I'm a little bit bottlenecked, so that is why screen space, ambient occlusion, it's not making a difference in performance, I believe. But anyway, the game runs fine. So what happens if you want to have a 60 FPS rocking stable without any drop? Well, you will need to use the low settings, which is very ugly. I noticed that the shadow quality have some impact in GPU and CPU, but the problem is the shadows in this game aren't filters. So on the consoles they kind of use some sort of soft shadows, which makes the shadows looks less sharper, but it wasn't quite bad. In the PC there is a different way of they have done it. So they are using razor blade shadows, or also known as volume shadows, which makes the shadows very sharp. So I don't really like this implementation of shadows. I would prefer the soft shadows, maybe with a higher resolution than the consoles, but they kind of use these hard shadows or volume shadows or razor blade shadows, whatever you want to call it. I don't really like this type of shadows, and if you drop the shadow to medium or low, it really gets a lot blocking. It's a shame that they didn't use the soft shadow implementation like the consoles, but with a better resolution for us PC gamers. Okay, so with that, I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of the gameplay. Hope you enjoy the rest, sorry. And if you want to check the results without recording for low, medium and high, it's on the description of the video. Or if you want to hear me talking a little bit more about the performance, just check the end of it. Okay? So hope you enjoy the rest of the video, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
The arrivals plaza for Landing Bay 3 is up ahead.
We've got heavy fighting in the plaza. Bravo, move forward, but maintain cover.
Roger that. Guess it's time for the real thing.
Your suit is performing at nominal levels, Sam.
Never had a girl say that to me before. Warmer reception than I was hoping for. Get out of the way!
Sam, I'm picking up some sort of interference on the scanners. Looks temporal.
You think they're zapping something in?
Sam, back up! You're moving too far forward.
Don't worry.
Enemy reinforcements are closing in on your position.
Are there any other ways to get up top?
It looks like you're just going to have to fight through this one. The gate's open now.
Good. Let's go. Fire!
We're clear!
All clear!
All clear!
Enemy clear!
Area clear! All clear!
2 enemy transports approaching from the rear.
Prepare to intercept enemy transports!
transformation. Most likely to connect to its generator and fire its large radius laser.
Have some juice. This is gonna be fun.
Can you see the core at the center of its torso?
Yeah,
That's the generator.
Burns, you hear that?
Yeah, I heard you. Bravo! Everyone fire on that core!
Hello boys and girls, welcome to the performance section of the video. So as you can see, if you use the AI preset or the custom mic I was using, you can expect a performance pretty much between the 40s and the 60s. Most of the time it's pretty much 50-60s, but that depends on the action and alpha effects. As for the median settings, you can expect 6 FPS most of the time, but sometimes the game drops from that. So if you use the VSync, it's not going to work too well, because the VSync on this game is a double buffer solution. So instead of dropping like to 55, it's going to drop to 30s and go back to 60s, so it's not very stable. As for the bow settings, it's maybe the only option that you can use to get to 60 FPS, but the bow settings are kind of very ugly, so I don't really recommend you to use it, especially because of the shadows. It gets really blocky. So for me, I think that you should also choose between, I don't know, medium or high settings and enjoy the game at 50 FPS. It's very smooth and there is so much action going on that you barely notice any difference. So regarding the consistency, as you can see, the median settings provides a much better consistency than the high settings at 60 FPS, with the low being the perfect ones. And while the other stuff, if you use the high settings, or let's imagine that you max out the entire game, the VRAM usage is around 750 megabytes. And as for the RAM usage, even if you have 3 gigabytes, I'm pretty sure that it will be enough for this game. Okay, CPU usage was very high, between the 40s and the 80%. So, and if you reduce the graphics, the CPU usage is going even higher. And the GPU usage for me with these high settings was between the 80s and the 19%, the 90 I mean. And that is because of that I believe that I'm bottlenecked, and there are many other reasons why I think I am bottlenecked, like for example raising screen space, ambient occlusion didn't affect the performance, so I'm currently bottlenecked over here. So it means that if you have a better CPU than I, it's pretty possible that you have more performance with the same settings. Okay, so that's all that I want to talk about Vanquish. Hope you did enjoy the video. If you have any doubt about anything, just leave a comment on the section of the video. And if you want to support the channel, be my patron, guys. It's an awesome thing. I do provide you the results much sooner than the videos, and you get a couple of advantages. Check the link on the description if you want to be my patron or know a little bit more about it. Okay, so thank you a lot for watching, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.